Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by and welcome back if you've been here before. If you're new, I hope you enjoy what I've got to share with you. Today's just going to be a really quick video about quick tips on setting up your own classroom. I've put the heading as all the little things that are worth knowing, and I've just made a bit of a list of things that I'm going to run through as fast as I can. So, starting up with your own classroom, first of all, congratulations on being a teacher, you know, whether it be your first year, your 10th year, congratulations. It is stressful, but it's totally worth it, I'm sure you'll agree. So setting up your own classroom, you need to think about wall displays, you know, is there a uniform way that your school like them to be done? Some schools like to have every display board in the school looking very uniform and very consistent, but other schools are a little bit more lax on that. They let you do what you'd like to do, so make sure you check that out, you know, what you're going to do. Maybe get them backed and with a border on before the school term starts so that you've got something to work off and then you're not stressing yourself out. I do believe now that it's not actually part of your contract to do wall displays, and you can pass that on to your TA, but if that's something you enjoy doing like myself, then go ahead and do it. You know, it looks great, take photographs, put it in your portfolio. It's always good to meet your teacher standards too. Also think about your cupboard space. Some schools have a lot of space to store things, others don't. You know, make sure everything is labelled really well. You want to be able to find things really quickly, you know, put things together that make sense to go together. A lot of schools have a separate store cupboard for like your arts and crafts and things like that, and obviously your PE equipment, but those things that are in your classroom, make sure that you really organise that well. You know, get yourself a lot of storage boxes, stack them, label them, drawers, everything, get it all labelled. I will leave a link down below for a teacher toolbox, it's called. It's like a box about this big with loads of little drawers in it. You can put like paper clips and things like that in, you know, staplers, etc, etc, and you can get labels online. Check out Teachers Pay Teachers site too. They do a lot of things that you might be interested in getting your hands on too. Classroom rules. I actually touched on this in my previous video. Make sure you have some rules set. I did talk about you know, setting those rules with the children in your class, but if you're interested in more about that, you can go and see the previous video, the behaviour management one. But make sure you have some class rules, make sure they're displayed somewhere, and make sure every child understands them. Obviously if they're a little bit younger, they can't read them themselves, so make sure you read them to them as well on a regular basis. If you're in the early years, make sure you have different areas of your classroom, you know, your reading area, your role play area, your mark making area, etc, etc, construction, anything, whatever ideas you've got, make sure all those areas are well set out. Make sure they're very clear as to what they are. You might even want to label them, you don't have to, but you can. Even as you get up the years, make sure there's obvious places where things are supposed to be as well, and where things takes place. Books of your choice, reading books, make sure you've got books that you enjoy reading and that you can bring some enthusiasm with. You know, some of my favourites, really obvious ones, are the likes of the Gruffalo, you know, We're Going on a Bear Hunt. I work with early years, so they're all great repetition. The children really love to get involved with them. Have a look online, you know, Oxford Reading Tree or Oxford Owl and things like that. Get books that are suitable for your age group. If you're again in primary school, make sure you have tray labels and coat peg labels as well, especially if you've got a cloakroom within your classroom, which some of the early years classes will do. You know, make them uniform, make sure they match, don't have different ones. You know, you want to look consistent, you want to look clean, so make sure they do match. Make sure you have them ready before the term starts so that when children come in they know exactly where to go, you know, they can recognise that. Check out Primary Treasure Box, they have a lot on there that are free to download too. And one more thing concerning your classroom, make sure you ask if there's a class budget. Some schools give you a budget of a certain amount per term or per month or per year for you to buy supplies, you know, things like pencils, pens, whiteboards, rubbers, etc. Make sure you check that out, budget in for anything you're going to need, get stuff ordered straight away and then leave the rest for throughout the year. But make sure that is something you check out. Some schools won't have one and you may feel obliged to buy your own things, but do be careful how much you spend, because it's your wage, you're getting paid to do the job. You know, don't use all that money to then supply things to school too. Moving on to children and their learning, especially for early years. Again, as I've already said, I am early years trained, so I'm focusing a little bit here on early years, but it could work with any year group as well. So first thing is make sure you baseline your children as to where they're at. Do that early on in your first term, because then you know exactly where they are around October to September, October time, so that you know that where they're up to in terms of their development, whether that be against the early years. or whether that be against Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, make sure you check where they're up to, you know, at least then you've got a starting point so that by the end of the year you know how far they've come. Then again, alongside the baselines, make sure you repeat those regularly. Now in my notes I've put to baseline them in the October, the December, the March and the June. That's 4 baselines a year. Yes, it's a lot of work, but it'll be so satisfying for you when you see how far those children have come, whether it be the, you know, the top, the higher ability, or the middle ability, or the lower ability. You'll be able to see a jump in some way, and that will make you realise why you're doing your job. Little tip again, maybe for younger ones especially, you know, make sure you plot the children for their birthdays as well. Like your older children, it's kind of September to December, then you've got your middles, which is like January to April, and you've got your summer borns and your younger ones, which is kind of May to August. Make sure you're aware of when their birthdays are. You might even want to display it on one of your boards in the classroom, so the children do feel like it's their classroom too. But make sure you know when the children's birthdays are, because obviously that does have an effect on their learning. Another thing you could do to understand your children a little bit better is speak to the teachers or the nurseries where they're coming from. You know, find out their likes, their dislikes, things that might trigger them for certain behaviour, you know, maybe family backgrounds and things like that. If you're getting children from a nursery into reception class, you might want to do home visits, you know, check out what the environment's like, you know, meet them in their own environment so they feel a little bit more comfortable getting to know you as well. Most importantly, really just know your children. Are there any children that have got SEN? Are there any children that are pupil premium? Are there any children who are looked after children? Are they in care? Make sure you know their backgrounds. Do any have allergies? Anything that you should be aware of, make sure that is all written down. Make sure you speak to Senkos, make sure you speak to the head teacher and the senior leadership team, and they will help you out with all that too. Okay, so within the school, make sure you're aware of what your job description is and what your responsibilities are. You've signed a contract, I presume, so you should know what's in that. Make sure you have a copy of that in some form of file so you can always go back. If somebody asks you to do something you're not sure whether that's your job, go back and check. You won't be told off for things like that. You're just sticking with what you have agreed to do. Find out when your staff meetings are. Where are they? When are they? What time are they on? Or how long will they go on? Do you have outside people coming in to talk to you? What kind of format are they? Make sure you're well aware of all that. I have got a lot of really useful information, and a lot of what you've heard over the past few videos has come from staff meetings, and I find them, though they can be tedious and boring and sometimes you just want to get home, they can be really informative, so make sure you do go to them and take notes as well. Very important one, fire alarm procedures. What happens if the fire alarm goes off? Where is your assembly point? How do you get out? Have you got a TA that you're going to have to help you get those children out as well? You know, be very aware of things like that. You know, it's really important that you know what to do, and don't forget to have a paper copy of a register to take out with you to check all the children are there as well. Just for your own personal files, make sure you've got copies of policies, whether that be behaviour policy, you know, marking policies, whatever that might be, make sure you've got copies of them, and statements, what the school statements are, the aims of the school as well. Another one, how do you assess the children? You know, I've talked about baseline assessments, but how do you assess them, or how is your work marked, depending on whereabouts you are in the school, whether it's the kind of early years and Key Stage 1, or whether you're senior school. Make sure you check what the policies are there as well, and how you assess and how you go about taking up anything that might be of concern. Think about schemes of work too. There's different schemes of work for all subjects. I've been in different schools that have had different schemes for maths and English and science. You know, a lot of different schools use different RE curriculum, whether you're in a free school or whether you're in a CV or Catholic school, that'll be different as well. What you use for music, do they have somebody come in from the outside to do music? Charanga, things like that, and obviously PE as well. Some schools have people coming in from outside to teach them different sports and things like that, or is that your responsibility as well? General information, make sure you join a union. It's really important to have some form of union behind you, a union rep. They can help you with any information you need to know. It's one that I really struggled with, especially as a younger teacher. Don't be dictated to by TAs. You are the teacher and you are the leader. It is your job to show them how it should be done. I worked in a class not so long ago that had a TA who was 40 years plus and had been a TA for over 20 years, and I was actually training as a teacher at the time, and I really struggled to dictate to them how they should be doing it or what I wanted them to do. But you've just got to really stick at it, just try your best, you know. pretend you're telling one of the children to do something if it really helps, but make sure that you are the one who is telling who what to do. You are the one who does all the planning, you're the one who is in charge of that class. That is your class and you need to be in charge in that situation. Another general piece of information you might be interested in is get yourself a really good planner or diary or something. At the moment, in general, I'm using the Erin Condren Life Planner. I've kind of tailored it a little bit, taken pages out that I wasn't interested in. I find this really useful to plan life in general. I have mentioned it a few times before, but I just find it great. You've got a big monthly spread that, a big monthly spread, and then you have pages after that to fill in your week as well. But they do actually have teacher planners as well, which if you're interested in, you should get your hands on. Really great stuff. I'm hoping to get my hands on one soon to be able to do a video and show you how they work too. But I'll leave a link down below for that as well if you're interested. I'd like to apologise for constantly looking down here, just because I've got my notes written down and I didn't want to miss anything out. Any other tips that you might have for any other teachers, please leave them down below and I'd love to hear them as well. You know, we're always learning and we're always trying to get better at our job as well. So make sure you leave them down below for other people too. And hopefully I'll be back again soon with another teacher video. Thanks again. Bye.